All right. Well, aloha kakahiaka, everybody. Today is July 22nd, 9 o'clock Hawaii time. If it's not July 22nd, 9 o'clock Hawaii time for you, means you're listening to the pre recorded version and you can skip forward about 5 minutes or so because you have joined the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. And I'm here going to introduce you with my friends from going clockwise. We got Heidi Dallinger, who's with us from Maui. We got Dylan Nonaka, who's with us from the Big Island. And we got Scott Startzman, who's with us on Oahu. Welcome everyone. We're doing the this is part of the warm up part of the show where we kind of test out our microphones, get everything working. So let's kind of go around and do our normal checkup. Heidi, you first. What's the coffee today, Heidi?
I'm drinking one of my go-to Maui coffees today. I mean, as much as I am super loyal to Maui coffees, particularly coffees grown right in Kaanapali, which is close to where I live, one of my clients actually owns a coffee farm in Panama and introduced me to this specialty type of coffee. It's called Mud House, and it's really unique. So I'm checking it out and seeing how it compares to my favorites, which probably my go-tos are the yellow Katura and the red Katuai. Like those are kind of my favorite, and they're grown here in Kaanapali.
You are far more the coffee bean connoisseur than I am. I wouldn't even consider myself a coffee bean connoisseur. I just pick off what's the cheapest thing at Costco, and I just keep kind of rotating on. Sadly, hey, one thing I want to mention before we move on to Dylan is we've added LinkedIn to our broadcast network. So we've got we can get you can get us on Facebook. You can get us. Let me kind of zoom in over here. You could get us on Facebook, you could get us on YouTube, and now you can get us on LinkedIn. So if you're watching from LinkedIn, I would be curious and like to give a shout out. So just pop something in the comments on LinkedIn if you're watching. I'd like to know about it, kind of see what this is, if this is worthwhile for us to pursue. We have a couple. Dylan, before we get on to you, I want to say hello to our friends who joined us. And Joan, welcome back, Joan. Joan is an alumni of the Eleanor Ohana and living on Oahu. Joan is first in line. Welcome, Joan. Great to see you. And then followed right by Jim, Uncle Jim. Welcome, Jim. Aloha kakahiakas. Thanks for the reminder, Scott. So there you go. Thanks, Scott, for giving the promo on the show. And Christopher Longley is with us again. Welcome back, Chris. Good to see you, buddy. Happy Aloha Friday. Aloha kakahiaka. And Auntie Joyce is hanging with us in Kailua on Oahu. Welcome, Auntie Joyce. Hoping you're having a good time. And on our beautiful island of Oahu, Kailua, the windward side. It's a beautiful spot of the island. Jim, we'll talk about the rental car. Has the rental car buy a brand new situation improved on the one? We're going to hold on to that question for a moment. Juliana is back. Welcome back, Juliana. Good to see you. Aloha, everyone. Aloha to you, Juliana. Thanks for coming back. Hey, and Bobby's back. Bobby is another alumni of the Honor Ohana, and he's drinking Hamakua coffee. I found the other day in Honoka'a. Hey, are you drinking it? What kind of coffee? Let me ask you all this. What kind of coffee are you drinking? Are you kind of what you have a favorite kind of coffee? Pop it in the comments. I'd like to know about it. Please share this. Welcome, Bobby, another alum of the Islander Ohana who's living on the Big Island. Drinking my husband's fresh roasted coffee in our yard in Holualoa. Everyone here loves it. Awesome. Yep. Wait a minute. Are you in Holualoa right now, or are you in Kailua? Let's see. Anyway,
They're
whatever.
visiting Kailua, but they live in Hulualoa on this island.
That's got it.
Yeah.
Thanks for
And
clearing
they
up
got a little farmette. So you got, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 15 coffee trees, but it's enough, to get you enough coffee pretty much for personal use the whole year. So they make their own coffee.
So when you're saying when Auntie Joyce says my husband's fresh roasted coffee, it's not just it's fresh roasted coffee from beans we grew on our property.
Correct.
That takes the cake. You win. I bow. I bow to you now more than ever before, Auntie Joyce. That's totally cool. Patrick is with us. Good evening again from Germany. Hey, Patrick. Welcome back. Good to see you, Patrick, and glad you're here with us. Dennis is. We got a lot of people who are saying hi. This is a fun part of the show. So Dennis is back. Dennis, first time, I believe, first time commenter for sure. Welcome back. Welcome to the show. And Christy, hey Christy, welcome back. Christy, aloha from Reno, Nevada. Welcome back, Christy. Good to see you again. Norm is back. Hey, Norm, also an alum of the Islander Ohana. Aloha to everyone. Aloha to everyone. Happy Friday. Aloha Friday to you. And Bobby says he likes he's into the Ka'u brand. All right. brand coffee. And Candace, first time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Candace, welcome. Candace Caswell, aloha from Molalla. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Molalla, Oregon. And Paul's back. Welcome back, Paul. Sunny and warm in Ventura County, California. Welcome back, everybody. Excellent. I think we caught up with everyone. Welcome, everyone. Dylan, give us the warm up. What's going on over there? What's the aloha shirt? What's happening on your neck of the woods?
Yeah, this is another Living Hula design here. My favorite go-to local designer, and I actually have to wear it all day today because I got a fancy dinner with a title company. That now that we're back to doing in-person stuff, the title companies will put on these nice events for us as a mahalo for our business, and so I get to wear this all day until this evening, and then this evening we fly to Seattle to get on a cruise ship for a Alaska cruise. So doing our end of the summer vacation with the family next week. So I'm glad it worked out where I'm not going to miss the show because I would have been traveling next week. So looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, we're a big fan of cruises. We love cruises. They're a great family.
I've never gone on one before.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I hope you have a good time. Yeah, and the Alaska one is fun. I did dog sledding with my daughter on the Alaska cruise, which was kind of really fun, especially from Hawaii, right? Because my kids had never. Well, my kids had seen snow because I took them to the mainland, but kids in Hawaii don't see snow too often. Unless, of course, Dylan, like you said, you go up to Mauna Kea and you fill the pickup truck with a bunch of snow and you come back down, which was a great story. Excellent. Yeah. So I'd be curious to kind of see what your experience has been on our next show when you get back with this. Jessica is back with us. Jessica Morris, aloha from town. Hey, you're getting it, girl. You're getting it. She's living in town. Yeah, there you go. Jessica is an alum of the Island Ohana, as is Judy Weber. Aloha, Judy. Great to see you. Welcome back, Judy. Good to see you. I got a question for Scott. So hold on to that, Karamita. We're going to get your question. Absolutely. Going to get that in a moment after we get there. And Michelle Cook, aloha, Florida Keys realtor, moved to Makaha Valley. All right, Michelle. And I could tell, let's see, you got that looks like a Duke Kahanamoku statue in Waikiki in the background there. Michelle, glad you put that in. Scott, what's going on, buddy? How's Oahu happening? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm actually trying to get the last pieces of decorating done, which is the office space, which I put one of my paintings up here, and I got a couple other ones. I'm trying to figure out what to put where, but I'm almost done with that part, so it's still been decorating time and just sticking to work lately. I got a little chance to go. I was showing property up on the ridge, and I happened to look out, and I realized how big the surf was this past week. It's pretty epic proportions. So
it was giant. Scott, you may want to check the settings on your mic, and you want to have a setting where it automatically adjusts audio levels. You're a little bit fainter than Heidi and Dylan, so check that setting. It'll bump up the volume a little bit. Part of what this pre 5 minutes or so, we're past 5 minutes, and this pre-show part is to kind of get a little bit of a feel for how the microphones are all working. So check that part out. All right. Let's see. It's 9:03. I think we're ready. Okay. I think we got this part done. Let's see. A few more people have kind of kicked in here. Oh wow. And Heather Lavelle. Heather is a Islander Ohana alumni as well. Aloha. We're finally here. First night on the island. Slept like a baby. So happy to be home. Feeling so much better already. Heather, congratulations. I know this was a huge thing for her. So everyone. Heather has made the move to Oahu, and Heather, so happy to hear about that. Heather has been a great member of the Honor Ohana, and congratulations. There is nothing cool. There is nothing cooler than making the one-way ticket to Hawaii. That is the coolest thing in the world. There is nothing better than having that one-way ticket. I love it. So congratulations to there. All right, let's move on, gang. We're going to get some let's get some news going over here. So let me kind of flip into, let's see, what am I supposed to do here? Next slide, please. All right. So we've got a couple of fun things I kind of want to kind of share with you all, and but first I've got to get my I don't have my correct notepad over here. So we have a technical difficulty here for a moment. Let me get this. So I got my news pad. I didn't copy my news. Okay, here we go. So dolphin swim. So finally, it's become somewhat official now. Dolphin swims are now definitely banned. The NOAA administrator ratified the final rule issued by the National Marine fisheries last fall. End of an era. Used to be a long time ago. Used to be going on. If I'm not mistaken, Jessica, your sister does cruises or boat tours on the west side of Oahu. I believe the dolphin swims. Here we go. Dolphin swims. Dolphin swims are banned. So end of an era. Honolulu speeding drivers. Now, here's where we're going to talk about this more later, but you might be surprised to find, and we're all said that, Hawaii, we go a little bit slow. We have a slower pace. We're kind of like cruising. We take it easy. But guess what? No, Honolulu is ranked number 3 in the country in big cities for speeding. And there's another statistics there. We're actually numbered 23 out of 70. So we're in the upper half of bad drivers meaning accidents, DUIs, and citations. So that is an interesting topic. And why are we such speeders, which is interesting. So there was an interesting story, and we talk about this a lot. Why Hawaii housing costs so much? And I'm going to bring this more up later. We've talked about this from time to time, but every so often a really cool story pops up that makes it obvious. So there was this. They had this conference where they were talking about somebody was presenting a model that would work with a sort of quote unquote a proven model of affordable housing, and it was called the Tokyo model. Not to go into details, but there's a model of real estate that they use in Tokyo, which is like one of the highest, one of the wealthiest, most expensive cities in the world, actually has some of the most affordable housing. How do they do it? Well, why don't we take the Tokyo model and put it into Hawaii? That was the conversation. Interestingly enough, as someone, a guy named Sam King, which Dylan, Sam, Adrian's son, Sam King is running for office in one of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and he had a great quote. And I think it's an indicative quote of why it really kind of puts it into a nutshell as to why housing in Hawaii is expensive. And he says, "We know how to build houses. We did it in the 70s. We wanted people here, and then we decided we did not want people here. Legalize home building and people will come." And that right there is the sentiment. That is why Hawaii housing is expensive, because we don't want to build more housing. We've said this before, but I think it was really, really great to have the stories. It was incredibly obvious. So that was that. And maybe we'll circle back. I want to get the comments of everybody. Restrictions, consequences of restrictions. We always talk about unintended consequences, right? We always talk about that. Well, there's a story, Dylan, Dylan hear about Dylan to comment on this. Hawaii County, there a guy, a couple of people that work in the Office of Housing and Community Development, just has been charged with fraud over $2 million in kickbacks for housing. So again, the unintended consequences are when you squeeze it and make housing next to impossible and super expensive, well, there's going to be other outlets. People want to make stuff happen. And so that was that. And then finally, as Scott said, a giant South Shore waves. I got one picture here. I do want to show with you guys. I have to get to the next slide, please. Okay, here we go. So let me kind of show this one. I don't have a video. I can't show videos the way it works, but if you look at this picture here, it looks like there's a waterfall. You see that in the background there? Look at that sort of waterfall look, like a spray of water. That's actually over a townhouse. And I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's in Kona. On the Kona
Kihei Surf and Racket was a complex.
Thank you, Dylan. Kihei Surf and so there is literally the showering of a rogue wave that came over. So we had some. So Scott, yeah, it was monster. We had a monster surf over the weekend. And so that's that. All right. And so with that, let me kind of give a quick screenshot. Of course, the weather's going to be perfect. It's been an amazing summer. I was mentioning to our friends that it was, for me, it felt like a very wet July, but maybe not. Anyway, that's that. That's the news for today. So why don't we do this? Let's kind of go around counterclockwise now. And this is a chance for a real estate market update, news update. What do you want to share about kind of what's new on Oahu, or what's the market like on Oahu? What's happening, Scott?
Yeah, two things real quick. Can you hear me all right? Does it
yeah, a little bit better.
So for Jessica, you're saying that you're in town now, but so the next step up is you got to call yourself a townie. That's when we'll know you've really made it, right?
Townie, I'm a townie, right? Indeed, good one.
And the other one for Bobby is has he eaten a Texas malasada while he's having the coffee as well? So the Hamakua coffee, because Texas Drive-In is right down the road. There's some of the best malasadas I've ever had. So they usually go pretty well with Big Island coffee. As far as so we got some interesting things going on with the market. I mean, sales are definitely slowing down, but prices for condos were up 16% this past month. They're up year to date 12%. And list to sales price ratio is 100%. So sellers are getting what they're asking for. Days on market's 11 days. So it's still really tight, doing really well. So I looked back. So I'd looked at houses before. Now I'm looking at condo inventory. We have 964 active condos on the market right now. And the interesting thing, I looked back at that 2005, 2006 market, and at the height of that market, when we had the least amount of inventory on the market for a month at one time, active inventory, we were at 935 units. So we're still right around that, low inventory for the condo side that we saw back in 2005, 2006, which is still, we have 1.5 months of inventory, which basically means very, very tight inventory, and we should continue to see prices going up. So, very little in a market slowdown. I mean, yeah, it's slowing down, but we're still having price appreciation because of the lack of inventory. And I think that kind of highlights it. The interesting thing, you look at Kaka'ako Ala Moana, which I wanted to see, number of sales are up 29% and price is up 25% this year compared to last year. So that Ala Moana Kaka'ako area is the driver, especially for the second home buyer and the international buyer coming to that area.
That's that this is kind of tracking sort of kind of what we had said earlier, if not even a little bit higher than what we had said. We kind of said, look, the market's not going to quote crash. The market may kind of level off, but it's not quite leveling. Hey, Scott, while we got you, can you hit this question real quick for Karamia? She's asking. Let me get Scott on here. Let me highlight Scott here. Okay. Do you have any insight on the Waikalani Woodlands condos in Mililani? It seems to be more affordable than some other condos as far as bang for the buck. Any comment on the Waikalani Woodlands?
Yeah, so Waikalani Woodlands actually sits right outside of like Mililani Town, Mililani Mauka, which are your bigger neighborhoods, bigger master plan communities. They're kind of off on the side and a smaller development. There's actually two separate sides, and it's a cluster of a bunch of different buildings that every building is different. They're all run by their own condo associations, so some are better than others. And it's close to Schofield up there, so you get a lot of military in that area. But yeah, I mean it's not I wouldn't lump it in with Mililani Town and Mililani Mauka. It's a separate little area. We sold one last year. Great affordable opportunity for getting into a condo in that area.
Excellent. Well, Karamia, hope that was a good answer for you from our resident Oahu expert, which is great. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. And by the way, Jessica, I had Jessica's response. Thanks, Jessica, for giving us the expert view here. Yeah, you can see dolphins from the boat. Again, boat with the dolphins, but you can't swim with them. Again, can't get them in the water anymore to win for the dolphins and for the tour companies who have been doing the right thing all along. Yeah, I totally agree. And you are very welcome, Karamia. You are very, very welcome. And Dylan, Barbara says, welcome back, Barbara. Barbara says, enjoy Alaska. Barbara, do you have any advice for Dylan and his family while they're in Alaska? Dylan, go ahead. What's going on the Big Island, Dylan? What's happening? What news do you have for us?
Yeah, so there's definitely a pretty stark and hard market shift that we're seeing in the data now. And so just to give you some perspective, right, is the alarming piece of data that I looked at yesterday was that last July, there was 58 homes that sold in the Kona markets. If I just look at the Kona market, there was 58 homes that sold. As of today, this morning, there was 13 this July. So we got like 8 days left in the month, and we're at 25% of what sold a year ago. And we even had 42 homes sell last month, right? So even if this number doubles, we'd be at 50% the number of homes that normally sell. And we'd attributed that for a long time to the lack of inventory. But the reality is that inventory is rising rapidly. So if we look at last July, there was 1,300 homes in the market, or 1,300 properties in the market. There's about 1,900 today. So there's inventory has been rising about 100 units every month over the last 2 months. And it's indicative of the whole entire island market also, where last year you had 250 homes sell across the island, and we're at 111 right now. So we're at less than half with just a week and a couple of days left in the month. So very much slowed down in terms of activity. We're not seeing, like Scott said, we're not seeing a drop in prices or days on market or anything yet. But definitely, there's going to be a balancing out pretty quickly with the inventory quickly on the rise and a number of homes selling quickly on the decline. The good news is, I've been telling everybody, it's a great time to be a buyer right now. It's a great time. There's lots of stuff on the market, and sellers are hearing the same bad news, and they're willing to negotiate. So,
that's as soon as you started saying all that, and that's kind of what my thought was like, okay, if you've been kind of quote waiting for things to kind of level off, this is the time to really start looking and start to kind of hunt stuff around, because as you said, inventory is going up, prices are the activity, that's a pretty significant drop off. How does Dylan, you have to kind of go into any kind of statistical books or whatever, but aside from the last two banana years, what is a normal July? How does 13 compare to, like, let's say a July of, let's say, 2019?
40 to 50 is normally kind of where we're at. Last July was kind of bonkers, so it was like 58, right? But yeah, 40 to 50 homes in our market selling every month is totally normal, consistent.
Okay, so having 13 at this point is a pretty steep drop.
Yeah. But that being said, in the residential market, we're like 1.2 months of inventory. In a condo market, we're at like 0.6 months of inventory, right? So it's like the inventory is rising, but it's still nowhere near normal levels, where we're normally above 3,000 properties for sale on the Big Island. So we're not even to 2,000 yet. So, and then, like Scott was talking about, it seems like, it's kind of dramatic, but at the same time, if you put in historical context, we're still in a very low inventory market.
Right. Scott, did you have a comment? I saw you unmute there for a second.
Yeah, it's interesting because I went back all the way to 2008 and looked at every year's kind of number of sales, because we're obviously slowing down. Where are we going to kind of land this year? And we're actually still going to land in the second for Oahu. This is Oahu. So it's interesting to hear the different perspectives on the islands, but we're going to land at the second highest number of sales since that 2008 timeframe. So the sales for Oahu are still happening, and we're still chucking along. We're decelerating, right?
That's really interesting. So it's really, folks, there's a great example, and I think I want to thank Dylan and Scott and Heidi for being here. It gives this great diversity. There's I would say a fairly radical difference right now at this point in time, this snapshot for July, right? Between the Big Island and Oahu, and Big Island is definitely a place a good opportunity. Before we move over to Heidi, I kind of want to chime in. Bobby gives a great here. Bobby says, great combo: island coffee and Tex malasadas. If you get a chance, Scott, next time you're over, try the malasadas at the Kuleana Rum Shack in Waikoloa, a hidden desert gem. Scott, have you ever been there at the Kuleana Rum Shack?
I have. When I go over there, I either stay in Puaka or I stay at the Mauna Lani, and Waikoloa is right next door. And I used to live over there for 5-6 years, so I know exactly where it is. Yep.
I didn't know that. I knew that your family's from there, Scott. I didn't know that you lived there for 5 or 6 years. Oh, that's interesting.
That's where I first landed when I came in '99. Was the Big Island. I lived in Puaka for 6 years. So.
Awesome. All right, cool. Hey, let's move on let's get our Maui fix. Heidi, you heard about the market on Oahu, the market on the Big Island. What's kind of going on with Maui's market, Heidi?
Yeah, similar on Maui. There's definitely a market shift taking place right now, and it's driven by, of course, the data, the interest rates, the economy, but also all the news stories people are reading, and just a shift in the mindset of buyers and sellers. So there's definitely more negotiating going on now than we saw in the past. Our inventory is still very low. Prices are higher, but because some buyers have dropped out of the market, the serious buyers who are in the market now have a little bit more leverage than in the past. So if you've been on the sidelines, really turned off with the super competitive environment we've been in, things are getting a little better for you as a buyer. But we're not seeing a ton of new inventory. We're still seeing good properties sell quickly and over asking price. Real estate is unique. So, certain properties that are listed, they're not a commodity. I mean, we don't have thousands of this one type of condo on this one beach. So, I mean, the uniqueness, the desirability, I mean, that's still there. And I think I mentioned this in the last show. I mean, owners have a lot of equity in their properties, have a lot of wealth. So I don't see any reason for a ton of new inventory to come on the market soon. I think we're slowly normalizing back to a market it's starting to feel more like 2019 again, which was still a really great market. It's just compared to what we were used to last year, that feels very different.
So interesting. So it sounds like you've got a sort of more on the you're more on the Oahu side of things in terms of market trends. Like it's definitely you're definitely feeling a shift. There's a market shift. It's a little bit of a better time to buy, but still there's still a lot of activities. Things are going for over listing price, which is indicative. Not quite like where it looks like the Big Island's the place is where the sweet spot could be. If the Big Island was what you're interested in, this is kind of what you want to look into the market. Thanks, Heidi. Great. Okay, let's move on. So here, I got a question for you all right now. So here's the question for you, the folks that are with us right now. The question for our Ohana here is acceptable speed over the speed limit. So here's what I'd like to know. So put this in the comments. So I want to know, like, okay, so at various parts, anywhere you go, there's the speed limit. And we all know that we can kind of go a little bit above the speed limit. We all know that, right? And so people tend to push that. So what I'd like to know, and because I want to see some variance, I want to see if there's variance across the country. I know there will be, but I want to see what the variance is. Where you live right now, in your town, in your region, what's sort of the okay, how many miles over the speed limit do you know you can kind of sort of get away with and you would not get pulled over, right? If there was a cop there with a radar, and he saw you going over the speed limit, how many miles per hour do you think you can go sort of over the speed? Maybe the radar's a little too blatant, because I would think if an officer has a radar gun, they're going to nail you for 1 mile over the speed limit. But culturally, that's the real question. Culturally speaking, when you're on the freeway, on the highway, whatever, with everybody else, and the speed limit is 60. What's everybody else driving? Are they driving at 65? Are they driving at 80? What's, just give or take, culturally, what's the culturally accepted miles over the speed limit? That's what I'd like to know. Pop it in. Throw it in the comments. I want to get some feedback, like Christina's saying up to 5 miles over. Patrick, yeah, okay, Patrick. Please don't. That is like one of my bucket list things. I want to go on that Autobahn. I want to rent the Porsche and go on the Autobahn as fast as I can go. That'd be really cool. Chris says 5 miles. So, all right, gang. So pop those in the comments. Keep those all coming. I'm gonna show everyone's comments as they come in. I'd like to know, they get a general sense, because that's going to be one of our topics. That's going to be our big topic for discussion for today. Okay. But before then, I got a couple of announcements I need to make for some future shows that y'all need to know about. So next week, we're going to be doing something special. This is the first time I'm going to try this all out. We're going to have an Aloha Friday Hawaii show, not an Aloha Friday Hawaii real estate show. Going to have an Aloha Friday Hawaii show next week, July 29th. We're going to have a special guest, Lisa Pierce. She is a blogger, a popular blogger. She writes amauiblog.com. I've known Lisa for a long time. We're good friends. She wrote a book, and it's called Maui 2021 and Beyond. I want to interview her and have her talk about Maui. So if you're not on the newsletter, make sure you're on the newsletter, livinginhawaii.com. Get there, get the newsletter. I'm going to send out the invite to that show next week, Friday, and bring in your Maui questions. Send them in advance. You got a blogger. She wrote a book. She wrote the book on Maui. I've invited Heidi. Heidi's welcome. We're not quite sure if Heidi's going to be able to make it schedule-wise, but hopefully if Heidi can make it, we're going to have Heidi there as well. But Lisa Pierce is going to be with us. That's the first announcement. So next week, Friday, big thing, Maui blogger. I'll put out the notice in the newsletter. I'm going to put a form for your questions. Make sure you get a hold of it. Okay. Week after that, another announcement, tiny homes. You all asked for it. We talked about it last week. Tiny homes, August 5th. We're going to have a guy here from the Big Island. His name is Chad Owen. His name is Chad.
Unrin.
Chad Unrin. Chad Unrin has a company on the Big Island, makes tiny homes. Got some photos for you. If you're into tiny homes, August 5th, you want to be there. So the next 2 weeks, we got a kind of some cool stuff going on. We got the Maui blogger on the 29th, and then we have tiny homes on the 5th. So fun stuff coming up. All right.
I'm
So
actually going through the process with him of designing our tiny home right now. So we have our second meeting next week scheduled for design. So
all right.
Cool process. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I saw here. If you look at those pictures, they're really quick. There's, it's not like it's not a. Maybe there's some prefabbing to it, but they sure look highly customized, right? They look
No,
very,
they build them. They build them from the ground up. Yeah. So they basically from the very beginning, you start with the consultation and you give them the vision for what you're going to use the home for, because everybody has a different use and kind of vision for what they need it for. In our case, it's more of a beach house for a bathroom and a kitchen, and we don't need too much living space necessarily because a lot of living will happen outside. But yeah, and then from there they build a 3D model and you choose all your finishes, any trim. I mean, it's highly customized. I mean, from the tiling, your shower, I mean, everything that you want. And then
Save it for next week.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week. Yeah.
We don't want to give too much, right?
Yeah.
No, thanks, Dylan. I appreciate that.
Yep.
I'm really.
It's going to be a good show, though. It's going to be very interesting. Chad's a great guy.
Because, like you said, I mean, we do get the question for tiny homes a lot. We have addressed it before a lot, but we've never had someone on for tiny homes. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's going to be fun. All right, so let's. I just kind of figured let's get this topic here. Why are we chronic speeders? So so let's do a quick. Let's see. Everyone's got their comments over here. So let's just do really fast. See what we got here. Let's see. Candace. Okay, so Candace says, let me get everybody here on the right. Let's get a different. Will this work? Okay. So Candace says 9 miles over. Christy says Reno 5 over. Anything higher, cops might pull you over. Joyce says California, it's 20. Heather says speed limits are so much lower on the mainland, so it takes getting used to, especially coming from California. I'd say 5 miles over is safe. Okay, great. Colleen in New York, it's 5. Michelle Cook says 5 to 8. Michelle, where? Tell us where you're from. 7. Jay says 7. Norman says 5. Except in a neighborhood, then 25. Let's see. I don't know what the number is there. Colorado get pulled over all the time, but never in California. 1 mile over. Judy, so 4 miles over, still got pulled over. Let's see, we live in Colorado, speed limits, red lights. Okay, so interesting. Joan says, when I live in Colorado Springs, had more than one person tell me speed limits, red lights, and stops were just suggestions. It was downhill from there. Okay, so let me share you all my personal story, which I hope will be interesting. So one night, my wife and I are coming back home. We're in Honolulu, coming back home, and I get pulled over. And cop pulls me over. He says, "Hey, you were going." I was doing over 50 in a 35. So I was doing, over 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. And the cop tells us this. He goes, says, I got to pull you over. Look, anything less than 15 miles an hour over the speed limit is okay. But as soon as you go over 15, that's just too much. So that's why I had to pull you over. So the thing was, on Oahu, certainly on Oahu, Scott, I confirm or deny here, right? You're my Oahu bud here, but on Oahu, 15 miles an hour is the rule. So if you're going down H1, it says the speed limit's 50. Everybody's doing 65 and sometimes like 70. If you're going down Kalaniana Ole Highway on East Oahu, speed limit's 35. No one's doing 35. Everyone's doing just under 50. So on Oahu, I don't know about you all, but on Oahu, it's 15 miles over the speed limit. You could definitely go 15. You can't, well, I should say 14 miles over the speed limit. As soon as you hit 15, okay, now you're in danger territory. You can get pulled over. But if you're doing under 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, it's okay on Oahu. Scott, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I would say you're right. Every time I've been pulled over, this is actually mainland and here. Every time I've gotten a ticket, it's been for 17 over the speed limit. And my story was I was coming back from an open house up the Like, coming from the Kaneohe side back into town, come through the tunnel, and you start coming downhill, and there's no off ramps, on ramps, no nothing. It's just all straight highway, and over on the side, I guess I was doing 17 over. I see this guy standing out in the middle of the road, and it's a cop. He's off his bike and he's pointing his radar gun at me, and he's pointing to the side. So I had to pull over. I'm like, oh man. So he comes up, rookie cop. He's pretty cocky at the time. He puts his gun up on my dash backwards. He goes, "I got you for doing 17 over the 17 miles an hour over the speed limit." And I just kind of chuckled internally. I came this close to saying, "Is that it? You should have seen me coming through the tunnel. I was doing at least 25 over." But I kept my mouth shut. But yeah, so every time I've been pulled over, it's been over 15 miles an hour over.
It's 15 is the definitely the rule, and a lot of times it's higher. There's been sometimes like coming from sort of eastbound from the Pearl City area, there's that one stretch and people are doing 70 and it says 50 and they're doing 70 at least, if not more. So chronic speeders. Okay. So I want to I just had to kind of, why, what's the deal? Why are we chronic speeders? So Dylan, let's kind of go around over here. What's the speed limit sort of, what's the cultural speed limit on the Big Island, and why or what do you think about it?
I think in general, one of the reasons is because the speed limits are so low here, right? I mean, in most places, it's like 35 or 45 on the Big Island. There's, the main highways out to the resorts are 55, and then Saddle Road is 60. That was a huge deal when they upped the speed limit to 60 across Saddle Road, but that's one big straight shot all the way across, and pretty much nobody does 60. But, I personally, I don't think I've ever gotten a speeding ticket in Hawaii. I've gotten one in California when I was there, but we don't speed I don't know if speeding is a big thing on the Big Island, just because there's so much stuff going on and the roads are so small that there's not a lot of opportunity to speed. Most of the places there's a lot of stoplights, there's a lot of turns in and outs. It's little small towns and stuff, and there's not a lot of places where it makes a lot of sense to speed. So
like on the Kona side, there's like that stretch between, like, let's say Waikoloa and Kona, right? It's like a long stretch, kind of long, boring, almost like mainland like highway. What's the what's the official posted speed limit there, and what do people culturally do on that highway?
It's 55, but now there's so much traffic on that road with tourists going in and out to the resorts and stuff.
You can't do more than 55.
It's almost hard. Yeah, it's almost hard to do more than 55. So you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
And then I have two fail safes in life to not get a speeding ticket. One is when you're in the Tesla, you can put it on autopilot, and the Tesla will not go 5 miles over. Right? It sees the speed limit signs, and it will not go more than 5. So it doesn't even let you speed. You got to take over and drive yourself if you want to speed. And the other thing that almost guarantees you'll never get a speeding ticket is having combat veteran plates. So if you served and you've been in combat, you get those plates from the county, and the cop, it's almost like an unwritten rule. The cops will pull you over, but they'll never give you a ticket if you have combat vet plates. So that's a get out of jail free card there.
That's your get out of jail free card. All right. Well, that's an interesting one. And there will come a time, I'm sure, we all see it, when like the Tesla. The Tesla feature will not only be on every car, but I hate to say this, so here's a crazy future prediction I'm going to make. It's going to be a mandatory feature on cars where you cannot go over the speed limit. Your car will not let you go over the speed limit. I'll bet we're going to have that one day. I'll bet.
It's pretty easy to do, right? Because all they need is a camera that looks and can read the speed signs. Yeah, so it's not hard technology, but that's definitely
not hard at all.
I think the cars should all just drive themselves totally and just take it away from people, because people suck at driving. Awesome. People say, like, don't you freak out about the car driving? I'm like, I trust the car 100 times more than everybody else around me, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other topic, but that's a good one. That is it. Okay. So what I'm kind of hearing you say is that people kind of drive pretty much what the speed limit is. Either because they're throttled because there's too much traffic, or just because I do think what you touched on though is correct. I do agree with that, which is the speed limits are that's certainly the case on Oahu. The speed limits are so low that it's
very easy to go 15 over, just because when the speed limit is 35 and you're only going, you're going 47, it's like, doesn't feel that fast, but you're going way over the speed limit. Yeah.
And I mean, and like on Oahu, the main highways, 3-4 lane highways, the speed limit, the posted speed limit is 50. And it's like, it's crazy. No one's going to do 50. Everyone's doing 60, right, Scott? Everyone's doing 65.
Yeah, the best is when you get out to that Pearl City side where it's like 6 lanes in each way, and the person coming on the right side beelines it out all the way to the outer lane to get in that outer lane and make sure they're there when there's plenty of other open lanes.
There's all kinds of, there's all kinds of fun. And actually, Scott, you remind me, if we have some more time, we should chat about what our favorite sort of local Hawaii kind of pet peeves or like classic Hawaii driving things, especially coming from the mainland. Like, we have mainland drivers that come, like me being one of them. A lot of adjustment. Heidi, what's the traffic like? What's the cultural sort of speed limit like on Maui? What's the vibe like in terms of the speed limit and what people drive over, at, above, too slow, too fast? What's it like?
Well, I'm pretty sure the speed limit's as fast as you can go without running into anything, especially on the main highways. I think the speed limit's 45, but people regularly go 60, 65, which is pretty dangerous. And what slows you down is those sharp curves around the mountain and an occasional stoplight. So that slows traffic down. But people seem to speed all the time. I've personally never had a speeding ticket. I've never seen anyone get a speeding ticket. But they do have, they will get you if you're talking on your cell phone while you're driving. So that's been my personal experience.
There was a thing about that. I don't know if it's Maui or the Big Island, but they just cranked up the fine for driving with a cell phone. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Maui, Heidi. I don't know if you heard this, but it's like a $400 fine if you're driving. What kind of I'm assuming while holding the phone to your the old holding the phone to your head while you're driving. Something like a $400 fine. Dylan. Dave says, ask Dylan about the 80-mile-an-hour people passing in blind corners. Do we have? Is there 80-mile-an-hour people passing in blind corners some places on the Big Island?
So that's probably the biggest problem. Is especially in the southern part of the island, we got these windy 2-lane roads that go down to the South Kona areas and Naalehu areas, and the posted speed limit's like 35, right? And you have tourists who drive 35, and then you get locals who are super frustrated because they always go faster than 35, and they'll in frustration pass them on really dangerous areas. And we do have a lot of crashes in the South Kona area because head on, or you see somebody coming, you swerve off the road, and it's country road, right? So it's easy just to go right off into the forest on either side and stuff. So that's definitely a problem for sure. And you regularly see junked cars, that have gone off the side of the road along the way when you're heading south.
Yeah, and
it's a death wish. I don't know why people do it. It's crazy, but it's kind of a function of society, right? You have a lot of affordable housing in that area. People got to drive way up to the resorts in the north to work, so they're almost 2 hours away, and they just want to get home, and they're frustrated because he's a tourist in a Jeep Wrangler going 35 in front of them when you really can go 45 or 50, and nobody's going to do anything. There's no cops down there, right? There's not even patrolled. So yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah, I remember there's a lot of interesting kind of dangers of driving on the Big Island. I remember when I lived out in Pahoa, and there's that long drive. It's a 2-lane highway, and it's a long 2-lane highway, and you got someone in front of you who's driving slow, and you want to pass them, but then you got to get in the oncoming lane. But you've really got to get kind of going because you don't want to be exposed too long, because there are some sort of blind areas where you can kind of get hit with oncoming traffic or what have you. And man, there was and then you had you had to kind of get your speed up. So you had to kind of go, there's all kinds of coordination you have to do, right? You have to go way behind the car, floor it to get up to speed. So by the time you pass the person, you're doing fast enough where you're not exposed too far, but then it gets all crazy, right? It's like, man,
it's always been a mind-blowing concept that's a thing. Like you can go into the oncoming traffic lane to pass somebody, if you think about it.
And it's legal too.
It's an insane concept. Yeah, it's a totally insane concept, but that's the way we normally do it on these 2-lane roads. So
yeah, it's crazy. Well, Norm says, like, personally, I do my best not to get emotionally involved when I drive. Less stress. Yeah, Norman, I think that's where like the Tesla driving would be kind of the thing that you want to do, right? Because now you're just the passenger. You're just the passenger in your own car. You're like in a bus, right? You can't get too emotionally involved if you're a passenger in a bus. I've noticed that even with just like throwing myself in cruise control is enough. All right, look, I think we kind of hit this one. While we're talking about this, let's go back. I had a couple of questions. This is Jim, Uncle Jim asked earlier about rental cars. So our rental cars and buy a new car available, so people can go 14 miles an hour over the speed limit. So Jim asked a question earlier, Scott. I don't know if you have any update on it, or if you have any insights, or any of you. What's the status with like rental cars? The rental car rates. I haven't checked rental car rates or car sales rates. My hunch is that it's smoothed out. It's not as insane as it was. Scott, is there anything you want to share about that?
No, I mean, I haven't looked either, and I'd have to go check. Other than that I feel like rental car rates are still much higher, because I got a couple of people that are coming over that said rental car rates are still high, but I feel like it's kind of at an in between. And as long as we still have supply chain issues, period, then we're probably going to have cars are probably going to be affected in that category as well.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in between. There was a story about Turo, about getting taxed, and about that kind of stuff. I don't, Jim, I'm curious if you got some time, go look at Alamo right now and see what it would cost to rent a car. I'd be curious. Go to alamo.com, for example, or Hertz, whatever, and do a quick search and find out, H&L, look for that airport and see what the cost to rent a car. Let's say, don't do it for now. Let's say do it for September. Say, some first week of September, what would it cost to rent a car in September? I'd be curious to know what that is. Or if anyone has any experiences, if you're here, if you're watching us, if you have any experiences, what's it been like for you if you've been searching for a car to rent? Like Heather, are you looking for a rental? What's it cost? Or if you bought a car recently, what's been your experience? I'd be curious about what that is. And Jackie's with us. Jackie is an alumni of the Honor Hunter. Welcome, Jackie. She is aloha from Kapolei. Jackie, we've been talking about speed limits. You get in a car and drive. What's the speed limit like? I know, like when you're the commute from Kapolei to town is horrific in the morning. You wish you could do like 20 miles an hour on the speed limit, but not so much. All right. Why don't we do this? Okay, so a quick thing here. So folks, if you we're going to be moving on. I got slides queued up, questions that people have submitted over the past. Your questions matter first. So if you've got anything you'd like to know, pop it in the question now, because we're going to move on and talk about, I think we're going to do our diamonds and deals, where we talk about sort of our favorite properties. I've got some questions queued up. Yours matter most. Send us your questions, what you'd like to know, whatever you'd like us to answer, and we'll move on. All right. Auntie Joyce, thanks, Auntie Joyce. A rental car here on Oahu for 10 days was $950, was $1,200, but got cheaper when rechecked. So that was $120 a day. That's unless you're looking at that was back in the old days, there was like an Escalade for $120 a day. 95 a day. That's what the number is. Patrick says, seems like rental cars have been going down a bit in the last few months. I hope that's the case. And this is great. Thank you all. By the way, thank you all for responding. This is what makes the show so fun, interactive, able to get the information. I love it, really. Michelle Cook. Michelle, I'm renting a car on Maui for 5 days. Economy for $334. Wow. For an economy car, that's under what? That's like, I don't know what, I can't do that math. My math has atrophied. I can't do more than 2-digit math. That's all I can do in my head now. Everything else I got to have a calculator for. But whatever that is, I think that's like $80 or so, less 70 a day. That's not bad. 70 a day. Yeah. Christopher says between 859, 923 for a week. Okay, good. Heather picked up my car right after our flight from the Matson shipyard. Oh man, that's the cool. You did it from Matson. How awesome. I just need the good Hawaii plate so I look more local. Absolutely. Feels like out-of-state plates are cop magnets. Not so much cop magnets, but it definitely says you're out of state. So you definitely want to get that. You definitely want to get that Hawaii plate. It's just like, Heather, it's like getting that 808 phone number. It's like switching your cell number, getting that 808 number. You got to get the 808 area code, because that, you can't tell people that your number is like 753 or whatever. It's got to be 808. Neil, hey Neil. Neil is also a alumni of the Honor Hunter. Neil says I got a 4-day rental in November for $450 minivan. Okay, that's okay. So Uncle Jim, I think we're kind of right, kind of market value of kind of what it was. And Jackie, I rented a tour when I first got here. It was great. Local car was great. I paid $900 for the month. That's a deal. $900 for the month. If you're a Costco member, good one, Christopher. Thank you. Go through Costco. Maybe cheaper for a car rental. Excellent. Great advice. Love it, gang. All right. Why don't we do this? Again, send in your questions. Give them to me so we can kind of address it. Let's do our Diamonds and Deals. Here's where we talk about our favorite properties, either diamonds or deals, or a little bit of both. Usually, it's always some kind of a thing of both. So let's do this. We're going to start out with Maui. Let's see. We got Kihei Road, a 5-bedroom, 5-bath home for the low price of 6.95. This looks amazing, though. What a phenomenal view, Heidi. What are we looking at here?
So this is a home. It's on the Makai side of South Kihei Road, which is on the
Excuse
ocean
me, Heidi.
side.
So Makai, everybody means the ocean side of the road. Go ahead, Heidi.
So really no roads between you and the beach and the ocean, which is incredible. And one of the reasons why I featured this property is it has a waterfall staircase. I don't know if you can see on the right-hand side, that middle photo. There's this floating staircase and then a waterfall. It's a very modern home. All the bathrooms they look like you're in a resort spa. So it's pretty unique, and it's listed for $695. Right in Kihei and South Maui, you'll have sunny weather pretty much all year down there.
I love the photography. I mean, that deck, I mean, it's perfect, right? You got coconut trees. You're looking at coconut trees, blue ocean. You've got that corner unit, that corner space there with all the high sliding glass windows. And I do see the photo of the waterfall. It doesn't do it justice from here, but I could see that would be really, really fun. I can see that. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Heidi. Let's see what's up next. We have Oahu Nuuanu Condo, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, $475. Scott, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is Craigside building. Actually, there's three buildings here. The middle one, the shorter one, is Craigside. The other 2 towers are Craigside as well, but they each have their own association, which is a little bit unique. But this is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, almost 850 square feet with a lanai. You're very close to downtown Honolulu. It's a great location up in Nuuanu, if you're familiar with it. Basically right off the Pali, you can get access to it. So you can be in downtown Honolulu within less than 5 minutes, or you can kind of get into the Honolulu urban core in 5 to 10, be at any of the major hospitals if you work there. So great location, but this is $475,000 fee simple. I thought this was a really good deal. Just closed one in this building, actually. Newer kitchen. You can see the space in the second bedroom. I mean, the second picture in the middle, which is, it's nicely renovated. Just a really nice, clean unit and a great price.
And that is I had a friend who lived in Craigside, and that is a fabulous. Nuuanu is a fantastic location. If you work in town, you could, and it's kind of uphill, right? So
Yep.
you could basically coast on a bike and just literally coast your way into work. You're going to have to kind of slog it uphill when you go home at night, but you could almost coast into work. That's a great spot. I love personally, I love the Nuuanu area. I lived in that district for quite a while, and I just love being up there in the mountains. Beautiful views, fabulous stuff, close to town. Great location.
And old Kamaina homes up in that area. Typically, that was where a lot of the kind of early development, and I mean, late 1800s, early 1900s development was along that Nuuanu Pali stretch, which a lot of people don't know. So you get a lot of executives that live there, and a lot of doctors, because the hospitals in downtown are right close by.
Yeah, it is a fantastic location. All right, let's move on to our Big Island special over here. Let's see, we got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 acre, $799. Wow, great property. Dylan, give us the details.
Actually, the slide didn't update. It's not on an acre. It's a regular 8,000 square foot lot, but this one is, you can kind of tell from that picture on the bottom left there. It's really close to the water. It's like a 3-minute walk to a street and a half away from beautiful Pebble Beach is at the bottom of Kona Paradise. So this is about 40 minutes south of Kailua Kona, but it's a beautiful community. Killer views, just a cool beach house, lanai that wraps all the way around the whole thing. Nice open area. Just killer spot if you want, country living where if you don't have to commute every day, it's perfect. And big lanai, the house is only like 1,300 square feet, but you got another, 500 square feet of lanai space. So there's plenty of outdoor living where you can hang out and enjoy the breezes and the ocean views.
I really, really like that style of local house. I love that, that classic Hawaiian roof with the huge overhangs.
Hmm.
I love the wraparound lanai. That's really a cool thing. It's kind of set up on you're on post and pier, so you're raised up with some kind of, what is it, like a garage or another unit downstairs or something like that, or
The water tank is underneath. This is on catchment, right? So
attachment?
that's kind of where you hide the water tank, is under that raised section above or below the lanai area. But this one's cool because this, Kona's steep, right? So there's a lot of areas with a lot of grade, but the way they design the house is it's level entry, right? So you enter from the back side of the house where it's level. You don't
Oh,
have to climb
right.
a big flight of
There's the
stairs.
ramp. There is the ramp going up on the right hand side, right?
Yep. But the front side is elevated pretty high.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Great. All right, gang. Let's see what we got here. We got a couple of follow-ups on our question here. Norm says he saved $20 a day going the taxi to downtown Kona for pickup. Way easier. Taxi was 25, and Norm, you got to stay emotionally detached from the traffic. So it's a winner. It works all the way around. Jim, SUV 553 a week. All right, September 1st. Compact 351 a week. September 1st. Is the inventory available, Jim? If it's available, it's available. When you coming out, Jim? Let us know. When you coming out to Oahu, apparently, that'd be great to know. All right, great. Anything else that anybody? Okay, I don't see any other questions popping in. So why don't we do this? We're gonna go a little bit early, but that's all right. We haven't done this for a long time. Let's kind
We're
of
never ahead of schedule.
We've never. I mean, this is the first time ever, right? I mean, I was gonna. I'm always trying to kind of time it right, right? Just kind of seeing if we could, but I don't want to push it right into the limit. So I think, well, we'll see how it goes. We'll just kind of maybe we'll stretch out. We'll stretch out the comments, and we'll stretch out our closing thoughts. So let's talk about closing thoughts. So let's see. Why don't we kind of start this one out here? Dylan, what do we got here? And what's your quote, and why is it important to you?
Yeah, I love all quotes like this. About being mindful of the people that you spend your time with, and this is just a good one. Hang out with those who have a common future, not a common past, right? And I think that's a cool thing about what the Islander Ohana does, and what this show does is it brings together people with a common future, not necessarily a common past. And so, just struck a chord, and I thought it was very appropriate for the show.
Hey, thank I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Right? You're forward thinking, right? A common future, something that you could all kind of bond on, something you could kind of all help each other out with, and that is what the Islander Ohana is all about. So thanks, Dylan, for thinking about that.
Spend time with people that are going where you want to go, not
Going where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
There's a I think you mentioned this to me, Dylan. There's another kind of a related saying about this is like. You will become the average of the people that you're with, right?
Right.
Isn't that
You're the average of the five. Yeah, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
you're the
So,
average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? So
are those people raising your average or lowering your average? You got to evaluate that.
that's right. You kind of want to hang out with people who are above your average, is what
Mhm.
the moral of the story is, right? Scott, you have a comment on that? I see you. I see you kind of having a chuckle on that one.
No, you just don't want to be the person at the bottom of the list because they're reassessing you the same way, right?
Like, hey, wait a minute, he's bringing down our average here. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Auntie Joyce, that is a great quote. I totally see it. Excellent. All right. So let's get our next one over here. And our next one is Scott. Why don't you take this one away for us?
Yeah, I mean, I love this. Keep your face always towards the sunshine, and the shadows will fall behind you. I mean, for me, it's more about just staying positive in every way and moving in a positive direction, and all the negativity falls by the wayside. Life becomes more enjoyable.
Face the sunshine. Face the sunshine. Yeah. Well said. I couldn't agree more. I love the analogy. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. Heidi, what do we got?
I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can always adjust my sails and reach my destination. I'm pretty sure this is a James Dean quote, but I love it. And I mean, I thought of this quote first, I guess, because of the changing market, but it really applies to anything in life. And I think it's pretty empowering because it reminds me or reminds anybody that we do have power. We do have the power to change and adjust depending on, there's always things we can't control, but there always are things we can control as well. So
I like that. That's kind of what my takeaway on this is that, right? There are some things in life that you cannot control, like the wind, right? They're completely out of your control. There's nothing that you can do about it, but you can adjust my sails and reach my destination. So there are things you do have control over, and don't worry about the things. How's what's that serenity prayer? Give me the strength to, how's that go? You all know what I'm talking about, right? Anybody want to pop that one up? Dylan, go ahead.
It's grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah, there you go. That's a version of that. Excellent. And Auntie Joyce, more great ones, Scott and Howie, right? This kind of started out as it's one. It's like everything else in the show kind of started out as like a crazy idea or a funky thing, and then it became like a thing. And Patrick agrees. All three fantastic positive quotes. That's kind of what this is all about, right? That's kind of what this section I thought, and I'm glad that you guys like it because I think it's kind of fun too. And of course, I'm going to do my Proverbs thing. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich, right? Really, really simple. Is like you get there by working hard. That's the way it works. You get there by working hard. And what I love about Proverbs, these are 3,000 years old. That's why I love reading the book of Proverbs. It's a 3,000-year-old book. What's fun for me about the book of Proverbs, right, is you read this book, and I've got this thing. It's kind of really fun. There's 31 chapters in Proverbs. And so it's really easy to read one every day because you just kind of figure out what day of the month it is. Whatever day of the month it is, you read that chapter in Proverbs. And as you read this over, here's a book that's 3,000 years old, and there's not a single quote in that book. I mean, not one that's out of date. Nothing is it. Every single quote in that book is just as relevant for today. Heidi, you win. I love all the quotes, but Heidi, I relate to yours the most. Thanks, Auntie Joan. Auntie Joan, thanks for joining us, and I appreciate that. Heidi's quote is a great one, and Heather agrees. Quotes are perfect this morning. The quotes. Okay, so y'all give me some great ideas. Which quote speaks to you the most? Let's hear it. On a roll, you all. What a great way to end the show, right? Exactly. Jeremy's back. Missed the show. Looking forward to watching the replay and saying your opinion on the current market. Yeah, you'll get that, Jeremy. Just play back and get that all started. Which quote speaks to you? Have an excellent cruise and vacation, Dylan. We want to, bring us some photos. We'll throw them on the slide. Want to know about the experience? What happens when a local boy goes out to Alaska? All right, folks. Let's say goodbye. Let's do it clockwise. Heidi, then Dylan, and then Scott.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Hello, everybody.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Enjoy the weekend, folks. We'll see you next week for the Maui special and the week after that for the tiny home special. Take care. Great to all have you all here with us. And closing quote, Steve, always look forward to the quotes and Proverbs at the end of the show. Mahalo again for a great show. We're so happy about that. Have a great one. Aloha, everyone.